Super fun course introduction video for IELM 4025, otherwise known as Teaching Elementary Mathematics. I am Curtis Turner, your instructor for this course. Spoiler, this will not be a super fun video. It's actually going to be pretty boring, but I hate going through the boring stuff the first day of class. So instead, I make you sit through a video before you even come to class. I will still answer questions about the course, of course, when you come to class, but we'll hit the highlights in this video. Please, in addition, also go through the syllabus to get any elements that I don't cover, because I'm not going to cover every tiny little detail in this, hopefully less than 10-minute video. You are looking at the course shell. You're actually looking at, I've gone to the modules tab. For me, in my Canvas shell, pretty much everything lives under modules. Every assignment's linked here, so you can just go to this page and get everything you need to. But first, let's swing over to the syllabus and answer some questions you're always curious about. One, how do I get my grade? Two, maybe less curious, is the book you're going to use. That's right here in the syllabus. It's titled Elementary and Middle School Math, Teaching Developmentally. The course requires the 10th edition, but actually if you're able to wrangle the 9th or 8th edition, which are much cheaper, those will work too. The readings are basically the same, and I've mapped the readings to those 3 editions. I think books are purchased differently this year, so it may just come automatically to your course in an e-version. I'm not 100% sure how that works. Anyway, the 10th, 9th, or 8th edition would work however you get it. So how do you get your grade in this assignment? Well, pretty simple. Weekly attendance. I require attendance. Actually, I don't require attendance. You can choose not to come. Everything is a choice, as you probably know. But I put 200 points worth out of the 1,000 towards attendance because I value attendance. I think it's that important. The way I structure my class, I'm not a lecturer. You're not gonna hear things that you could just read out of the book. If you're out of someone's book, if you come to the class, when you come to the class, there might be a tiny bit of lecture, reviewing a few things that maybe that were in the required reading, and then we're going to jump into doing math. Not just doing math, but we're going to practice how you're going to teach math. So the classes, the 8 classes that we have, all 8 of them are extremely valuable, and I want to emphasize the importance of that in this attendance. So by simply coming, you get 200 of the 1,000 points possible for this class. That may seem a little high schooly, but I just tried to emphasize to you why I believe it's so important. You're gonna take value from the interaction with your peers. Hopefully, I'm gonna provide some insight. You know, I have 30 years of experience with this stuff, so hopefully I'll bring some valuable insight too. But you're gonna learn more from each other, and you're gonna learn a lot from just getting around the math, tearing things apart, putting them back together, playing with manipulatives, and really starting to get a vision of how you're going to teach math content. A lot of elementary teachers are a little bit intimidated by math content, and if you're one of those, then hopefully by the end of this course will relieve some of that anxiety, because there's no reason for it. You'll be just fine. Secondly, asynchronous reading video quizzes. They're in the course modules, which I'll show you in just a second. There's some supplemental readings. There's reading from the text. And when you read text, by all means, skim. It's a dense text, and you don't need to pick up everything in the text. Skim, and when you see things that you think are going to be important, you read those deeply. You get points from doing that. There's a little quiz you have to take. That's a 10-pointer. You can take it multiple times to get 100%, so hopefully you take it until you get 100%. And you can ask me questions if you're confused on anything in those quizzes, so that's a slam dunk 80 points. There are math content modules that are in addition to what we're going to work on in class. This is a hybrid class, which means for this specifically, it meets half the time that's required. So there's an expectation that you're going to do additional work outside of that to make up for the other half. And that, for me, lies within these math content modules. And there's a lot of information in these modules, and I require 7 of them that mirror the things we're going to go through in class. So there'll be a lot of duplication, which repetition is the key to all learning, and especially in math. So you'll see me practice that. I practice what I preach when I teach how to teach math. So you'll see repetition in these, but there'll be some different exposures in these modules. Either way, you're doing them on your own time. There's a little quiz you have to take that proves you did them. You get 30 points per, so it's a significant number of points. There are extra modules. There are, I think, about 6 extra modules that I leave open to choice. You have to do 3 of them, so you can choose which of the 3 you want. For instance, there's a module on geometry. There's a module on probability, data, and statistics, and So I'll let you pick the ones you feel like you need the most work on. You can do all of them if you want and get extra points to make up for points lost in other areas. And then the big ones are these 3 big assignments. They're big point getters, so you may want to do some extra modules to pad yourself on these assignments if you don't get all the points you want on them. They're due at various times towards the end of our time together, towards the end of our 8 weeks together, but they are fairly time consuming, so you may want to jump on them sooner than later, because you can do them at any time. You don't have to wait till the due dates to start working on them. In fact, I'll go through them early in the course, or I'll remind you of them early in the course, so you can get started on them. If you're that type of, if you like to get ahead of things, then sooner than later is better on those. And that's a sum of how you get of how the course is graded. Grading for me is pretty open-ended. If you do the work and it's of quality, you're probably going to get close to full points. If it's obvious to me you cut corners and you didn't put full effort into it, then that's where you're going to lose some points. Or for these big assignments, there's rubrics that you follow. If you don't follow every element of the rubric, then of course you're going to lose some points. Pretty straightforward. Very easy to get a really good grade in this class, but there is a fair amount of work to get there. So usually when people don't get an A in this class, it's because they haven't budgeted their time and they ran out of time. Because you're also, I think you're also getting out into schools during this time, so you're a busy person right now. So just expect that there's going to be a little bit of work and time you have to put into this course. As a relief, though, for that, when we're in class, you're going to enjoy it. It's not going to be boring lecture, like I said. We're going to be working math. Mostly, I run it more like a lab. But now to go through how I set up the course and how to prepare yourself for each week, I label each week by the week to make it very simple. So week 1, when the week that I start class, this is the stuff we're going to be going over. I include the slides I'm going to use that day. There's no need to even really look at them ahead of time. They're really just to keep me on track, to pace me. I use them as teaching notes more than anything, but you're welcome to look at those. They're always accessible to you. There's an asynchronous quiz that's always due the Sunday after, and the quiz usually has things like there's an extra reading, a video, an extra reading here included that we may or may not go over in class, so you'll need to look at those before you take the quiz, and it'll help you pass it. Always go to week 1 looking forward, because that helps you prepare for the next week. You can also just go to that module, because I'll probably leave every module open, because students tell me they like to be able to see everything that they have coming. Although to me it can look a little overwhelming, but I've been told they like to see everything, so you can look at the next week to see what you have to do. But this is a shortcut. Open up week 1 looking forward, or week 2 looking forward, so on and so forth, and it'll give you, it's going to take forever to load since I'm making a video, but we'll wait. Anyway, week 1, yeah, there it is. It'll tell you, remind you of the things you need to complete and by when you need to complete them. Hopefully I've updated those due dates. If not, I will. And then it tells you what to do looking ahead. Like for week 2, skim the chapter titled Helping Students Master Basic Facts, and it gives you the chapter numbers in whatever edition you have. So that's just a helpful organizational tool. Just below that module, you'll see, so that's week 1, that's what we're going over in class. Then you'll see the mathematics content module just below it. That's due for the same week. So I put due dates on these so that you don't procrastinate them. So I stack them week by week. The module it mirrors, so we're going through early numeracy in week 1. Early numeracy, early number sense and counting is the module that you'll work on asynchronously. So there's some mirror to it. So hopefully that makes it a little bit easier. And you see there's some reading you can do. And of course you skim through that, jump in, take the quiz. If you don't get the grade you want, then usually I'll set the quizzes up to allow for multiple attempts, and you'll be able to take it as many times as you need to get the grade that you want. So that's pretty easy. That's it in a nutshell. Each week follows that same model. Week 3, this is what we're doing in class. There's your asynchronous. Week 4, what we're doing in class. There's your asynchronous. Now the big assignments can be kind of complex, and there are sometimes questions, so I don't want to smash everything into this video, so I will create little instructional videos for each of the big assignments that you have to do. We'll also go over them in class, but there are always multiple questions, so I'll add those to the course eventually. That's an overall course quick overview. Again, look through the syllabus before day 1. Come to class with your questions prepared. and ask anything that you don't feel like I've answered thoroughly in this video. I look forward to getting to know you all. Again, sorry for the boring video. I promise you class will be a lot more fun than this.